All right, let's do some test corrections for 8.4C. Number one, always starting with the sentence with the question mark. It's simply finding the slope of the line P to V. Here's P, and there's V for this, this line right here. I can see, if I put my little guy here, it's pointing down, so I know that my slope M is going to be a negative. I also know that that formula is rise over run. So how far is my run? 1. My rise is 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes. And each box is 1 unit of measure. So my rise is 4, my run is 1, the slope is -4. That is to say I go down 4 units for each one x value. A change in y over my change in x. Look at number 2. So again, simply this is giving you a table and it's asking you dollars per hour. So Francis, the hours Francis worked is your x values. The amount of money Francis earned is your y values. I'll label hours worked as my x values. Amount earned is my y value. I can use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 because that works every time. Put your fraction in and your subtract signs. My first x value I'll label x1, my second one I'll label it x2, my first y value I'll label y1, my second one I'll label y2. And I'm going to start putting in my information. y2 goes right there, 52.50. y1 goes right here, 17.50. x2, $3.75. x1, $1.25. Get your fraction framework up. $52.50 minus 17.50 over 3.75 minus 1.25. Make sure everything matches. Page right, hit enter, and I get $14 per hour. B. Let's look at number 3. Okay, very simply I can just look at look at the sentence with the question mark. It's asking me for slope and y-intercept, but if you look at your answer choices you can see they're asking for the slope and the y-intercept. Let's start with the y-intercept because we simply have to go and circle when x is 0. X is 0 right there. What is y? 15. So we know that their y-intercept is 15. We should be getting rid of 2 answer choices right now. Next, we have to determine what is the slope. I'll label the first one x1, the second one x2, and y1 and y2. Create your fraction and your subtract signs. This is going to be y2 minus y1. This is going to be x2 minus x1. Let's start with y2. y2 goes right here, 14.6 minus 15 over x2, which is 10, minus 0. Get your fraction framework up. 14.6 minus 15 over 10 minus 0. And I see I have a negative 0.04 as my slope. Well, if I look at my 2 slopes, I have -1 over 25 and -25. Well, negative 25 is definitely not 0.04. Let's just make sure that in our calculator, if we put in a negative 1 over 25, hit enter, and hit math 2 so we can get the decimal for that. Negative 1 over 25 is negative 0.04. That matches our slope. B is the correct answer. Number 4. Which best describes the profit Emily's making from selling these cards? Once again, you have to find a point that fits perfectly on the grid. I'm going to use that guy right there, and I'm simply going to divide my y value divided by my x value. The reason I can do that is because it goes through 0, 0. So it's as simple as taking 30 and dividing 4. And I get $7.50, $7.50 per box. I'd like for you to write y divided by x. My y value is 30. Its corresponding x value is 4, which gives me 7.5, and thus $7.50 per box. Let's look at number 5. Simply asking for the slope of this line, and they've given it to you in a graph, and they've given it to you in a table. Well, we know that this works every time. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I can label this x1, x2, y1, y2. Put in your subtract signs before you start going to get any numbers. 60 minus 65 over 2 minus 1. Fraction framework, and begin to solve. -5. So your slope should have been -5. Just to validate that, we could use our right triangle and use rise over run. My rise would be 10 from 50 to 60, and my run would be 2. 10 divided by 2 equals 5, and since the line is going down, we make it a -5. Either way, the slope matches -5. Question 6. So you have, if you look at your answer choices, you can just see, hey, this is asking, what does the gym charge to get in, and what is it per month? Well, if we go to when x is 0 and put a dot where it crosses the y-axis, we know that's the original initiation fee. So it starts, B starts at $150. The enrollment fee for the gym, that's one answer, is $150. Next, we need to find the slope, M. So in this case, since I have a graph, I'm going to use this point and this point, and I'm going to create a right triangle. The separation, the distance of my y value from 150 to 250 is 100. My x values are 1 each, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to use rise over run and determine it's 100 divided by 4, $25 per month. Each x value is 1 month. These are the two correct answers. Let's look at number 7. The graph shows a linear relationship between the number of shirts made, X, and the production cost, Y. Here's your production cost. Here's the number of shirts made. It's asking for the initial B, a starting point, which appears to be 100. I'm sorry, this is your per shirt, so this is 100. This is going to be your slope M. I see I've got a graph, so I can create my rise over my run, create a right triangle. My rise is from 100 to 200, that's 100, and my run appears to be 40. Go in your calculator, 100 divided by 40 is going to give me my price per shirt. 2.5 or $2.50 per shirt, plus an origination fee of $100. Let's look at number 8. So it's, if I can just look here, there's my slope, here's my y-intercept. I need to go to when x is 0. I don't have that, so I'm going to make it work. 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, 1,000. The next one is 0. So I just need to figure out what are these changing by. And go back one more. So I'm going to take 2320 and subtract 2260. These are changing by 60. So I'm going to take 2260 and subtract 60, and I see I have a starting point, a y-intercept of 2200. That's my B. My slope M then is going to be M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Put in your fraction, your subtract signs first, and let's go label some things. x1, x2, y1, y2, and put in your information properly. 2320 is my y2, 2260 is my y1, my x2 is 2000, and my y1 is 1000. Put in your fraction framework. 2320 minus 2260 over 2000 minus 1000. And I get a fraction I need to turn into a decimal, which gives me 0.06. So my slope equals 0.06. Or it actually gives me the answer as a fraction. M is right here, which also equals 0.06 or 6 cents. There's your two answer choices. All right, number 9. Again, it's asking for slope and y-intercept. Well, if I'm just looking at this y-intercept, my options are 3 or -1. Where does the line cross it? In the negatives or in the positives? 1, 2, 3. B equals +3. There's your y-intercept where the line crosses the y-axis at +3. Now when we talk about the slope, I know that if I put my little guy right here, he's going to be walking down. I only have one slope that's a negative. The answer is -1. Just to verify, if you create a right triangle with 2 points, you have 1 over 1 going down, and that's also a -1. -1 over 1. Rise over run. Let's look at number 10. That one was too easy. All right. Which of the following represents the slope? Okay. I got slope on a graph. I'm going to zoom in here because this is kind of small. but I know that my slope is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Also rise over run. Those are your two strategies. Well, I'm going to go along this line and I'm going to find a point right there. And I'm going to find a point right there. And I'm going to connect these two. My rise is 1, 2, 3 boxes. My run is 1, 2 boxes. And it's a positive slope. Is 3 divided by 2 a possible answer choice? Yes, it is. There's your answer. All right. Good job. You can give yourself half credit back and update your math folder appropriately.